Custard cream. Hello and welcome back. I am James Skiffins.
And I am Malcolm Childs, and we are just making conversation,
where we discuss the ups and downs of the model making hobby that brings us sheer joy and utter despair in equal measures.
From super glue kickers to elastic knickers and everything in between, we are going to be just making conversation. Remember, there are other podcasts that you can listen to.
Plastic Model Mojo,
the Scale Model Podcast,
Plastic Posse Podcast,
On the Bench,
Model Geeks,
the Sprue Cutters Union,
All Subjects,
Built Sideways,
Model by Guy Ploden,
and the Micro Machines Podcast,
Am Show Podcast,
and Modelling and Sanity Podcast. Oh, there's an aeroplane flying over the top of us. That's bloody perfect. What perfect timing. Thank you, Mr. Aeroplane, flying over us. Why don't you wait until I record a podcast and then fly over?
It's that red light on top of your shed that's giving it away.
Oh, the one that says, quiet, please.
Yeah. Shh.
Head to modelpodcasts.com for all of the links of the other podcasts.
Showing your appreciation with some coin is easy. Click over to paypal.me/podcast JMC or on Patreon to patreon.com/just making conversation.
In this episode, we will be just making conversation about a reputation of model manufacturers and just how we interact with it.
Do we rely on the reputation alone when we choose what model kit we purchase? Or is the reputation not an issue when choosing model kits to purchase?
Did the community's influence through social media make or break a reputation? Are we keyboard warriors or socially responsible in the feedback we provide to our manufacturer to help them deliver to us what we want?
You never guess what I built.
Yeah, I do know what you built. You just showed me. Or you want to do it for effect for the podcast?
I was trying to do it for effect, but no.
Okay, sorry. Okay.
I have I've built a train. I have actually built the Airfix 00 Evening Star in its green livery. Yeah. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. One of the reasons I did it was work purposes, but also I do have a 1/35 train upstairs that I have been wanting to do for a long time. It's always scared me. So I thought I'd start small, work my way up.
So is this the reason the other week you said you had some projects that you couldn't tell me about because you were ashamed?
I was worried that you would defriend me. So I kept it quiet from you.
I'm glad you did.
I kept it quiet from everybody, really, until this moment.
So was it good? Did it build well?
I got to be honest with you. I mean, it's God knows how old the kit is. I can show you actually the instructions are
it's a scroll,
ancient script because it's like the thickest paper ever.
Is it in Old English? Like, ye must find part 7 and attach ye part.
Yeah, there is a bit of an old language in it. But the joy of it, in fairness, I will give Airfix their due. They are very easy to follow. However, it does involve reading.
Yes.
There is a picture, which is basically, there are 3 parts to the picture. One is the undercarriage. Undercarriage, is that the right phrase? I don't know. The steamy box bit, and then the bit that goes on the back. They are the 3 pictures. Every part is numbered. It's basically an exploded diagram is the way to describe it.
Yeah.
So if you follow the instructions word by word, it's very, very easy. However, being me, I didn't. I followed the pictures. And it got a little confusing because parts didn't really go where I thought they were meant to go. And it turns out once you read the instructions, it explains it a lot better.
No way.
So, but yes, I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I have further confessions to make that I have stopped myself, but I have at least 3 more in the basket. So, yeah.
Wow.
And as a Mojo build, because I honestly thought It's going to be a nightmare to build. Nothing's going to go together properly. It's going to be wrong. I would put that on a par to and one of those little egg planes.
What? Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's a statement. Crikey. Okay, so you'll have to take a photograph of it and stick it on the on Facebook for us. Yeah.
Yeah, I will do. No worries.
And the instructions and all the text and handwritten script that it's in. That's funny.
I'll have to replace the wooden bits for the scroll, but yeah, other than that, yeah, I'll do that. Not a problem. They're a bit faded. The only downside to it as well, I noticed, was it's really old sprue, obviously, and the numbers to the parts are either on the sprue, which are almost illegible, or they're on the part itself.
What? Yes, yeah. I remember that. Yeah,
it took me a little while to figure that out because I'm looking at the sprue. I've got my special can't see nothing glasses, 4 lenses on. It must be here somewhere, and then eventually I see the tiny little bit that goes through the wheel, holding the metal bits that go backwards and forwards. Is a tiny little number on the top, which is the bit you can see, which is a bit annoying.
A little bit, yeah.
So yeah, that was quite fun to do. But I think that she would enjoy it.
I think they're called push rods.
They may well be.
I think,
but not being a train buff, I don't know these things. So
where do you work again? Remind me.
Yeah, but I don't work with the trains. I stand there and watch them go past. Well, if they don't go past, I run basically.
Well, are they supposed to stop where you are?
Well, yeah, they stop and carry on going afterwards. That's fine. But if they stop and don't go, then I run.
Okay. All right. Well, well done, you building a train, you cheeky monster. How did the paint go in?
Oh, the paint was beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Yeah, the paint I used obviously it's work related, so it's Outlaw Paints, their train selection, and yeah, just literally 1 and a bit passes and it was done.
Lovely.
Absolutely lovely.
Great
finish.
Going to weather it, or is it for display?
Well, this particular beast will be at Telford, so I have a few items that I've built using the paints. I haven't weathered anything. So the reason being is that I want people to be able to pick them up and go, so this is what you did with just putting the paint on. No clear coats, nothing.
Mm-hmm. So they can inspect the finish and everything else, yeah?
Yeah, so that's the idea, is it's just literally throw the things together, throw a bit of paint on, put some decals on, if necessary. I think that I've got a 148 Spitfire that I've done in a metal finish that has got a satin coat on. I've got 2 metal finish ones. One is with satin coat and one is without. So yeah, it gives a comparison. Same paint.
Okay.
Yeah, so they'll be on the table and people can pick them up, have a look at them.
Well, that's different because normally it's do not touch the models, but you're inviting people to come and pick them up, feel them, sniff them, lick them, do whatever you want, rub it against your forehead, however you do your painting. Yep. Get involved in it, and then put them back on the table in one pit, I hope. Yeah,
what I've done is a Lightning, a Spitfire, the train, and there will be a Corsair. The Lightning I'm a little bit worried about because there's some bits that will fall off that quite easily. But if they do, they do. I'm not really that fussed.
Okay.
I've not put any finishes on it as such, specifically because is there anyone that is using airbrush for the first time can get that finish, and that's how you do it.
So, yeah, something different.
So, yeah, a little bit different.
Can't wait. Telford's going to be busy.
Oh, God, yeah, tell me about that. Anyway, what have you been working on, more importantly?
Well, I have been working plastically working. I'm building this 747, 144 scale from Revell. The 2 halves of the 747 feel like they're slightly different scales. That's how difficult it has been. 1 half of the 747 goes fine at the front, but then it wouldn't fit at the back. So, but then if I made it fit at the back, it didn't fit at the front. So a compromise had to be done, and obviously I tried to make the front as nice as possible.
So you made it into a Cessna?
The back end looks like it's been crikey. No, I'll cut that bit out. The back end looks rough. So there you go, that's better. The cockpit glass didn't fit. It looked like it was for a different aeroplane, to be honest. Mm-hmm. But it's done, it's in, and it kind of fits all right. So this is going to be with the space shuttle. It's going to sit on top. So this is the same shuttle that I saw at Stansted in 1983. Interestingly, looking at the kit's tailplane wing parts, the small wings at the back, because it's an old Revel kit, and as you were saying, they put the part names on the back of the kit. I don't know if you can see that, but that says copyright Revel 1983.
Yeah,
on the actual part.
That's a common thing with the older kits. Monogram used to do it. They used to be underneath.
Because it is the right year that I saw this plane, 1983, I'm going to leave what that says, and I'm going to put a wash on it, and I'm going to dry brush it to bring it out. Unfortunately, it's underneath at the back, so no one will see it.
Whoa. Steady there, Tiger. Are you saying you're going to paint the underneath of something, and not only that, you're going to highlight the fact you've painted the underneath of something, washes and...
Yes, wow. I am. Yes, but
this is a right nightmare.
But there's nothing to do with what's happening over that side of the pond.
Oh no, that wasn't. No, that wasn't. That was more of a case of you don't normally do the underneath.
No, I don't. But this is an aircraft, so it's going to have wings, true, yes. And the wings are going to be off the ground. So yeah, I will be painting off underneath, and because that's how I saw it. I saw it from underneath, didn't I? You know, standing. I was 7, so I was only like 6 foot tall.
I just realised you're being even more controversial because you're going to end up taking a picture while holding your aircraft up.
Stop it. So yeah, I
you did actually send the pictures over that you took on that particular day, and I did scan the crowd to see if I was in there, and you didn't catch me.
No. And then I'll mount it, or I'll paint it all up, and then I'll mount it on a nice board. I'll probably use Coastal Kits, one of their runway ground images. Put it on there, and then get some 144 scale people. I still haven't found any that I'm satisfied with yet. I might ask someone to 3D print me some 144 scale human beings from the 1980s wearing 80s clothing. Because all the ones I've seen so far are passengers from railways, and they've all got luggage, whatever. But the people there were taking photographs and wearing 80s clothes.
You could do it. You could do someone with some luggage and just add a little bit of curly wire and a telephone to it, and it'd be like a mobile phone.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I've got a friend of mine who's sending me some decals so that I can turn it into the Enterprise, because this kit comes with the Discovery decals. So the space shuttle is going to be the correct one. I've done the done the undercarriage. They're incredibly thin. How they're going to hold up a 747 and all the plastic, I don't know. I might have to put a cheeky brass rod next to them just to give it the
hold your end up,
the hold the end up bit. Yeah, because there's only there's a few of these.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I've been working on. Cleaned up a couple of figures that I bought from the IPMS Avon show. This little dude here.
Oh, nice.
Got them from 3D Gizmo.
Yeah. What size is that?
That will be 1/16 scale, I guess.
Nice.
You think 1/16 probably?
Probably about that ish.
And I bought some model kits too. I bought the Kinetic T2 2A Harrier, which is the 2-seater 48 scale one. I bought the new Royal Field Models MRAP as well.
Nice.
I've also put up my Han Solo for sale.
Yes, I saw that.
Search on eBay for Han Solo statue, and it should be the first one that comes up. Hand painted. I didn't put professionally hand painted.
No, I can understand why you did that. That's your own modesty, because you did a really good job on it. But more importantly, are you going to sign the underneath of it?
No.
Oh.
Well, unless someone asks me to.
Oh, you should so sign it. Definitely.
I sent a message to a couple of people saying, hey, do you know anyone who's interested in Star Wars? Look at this. And it was the link to my eBay. A few people to see if they be interested in it. And one person that I sent it to, I won't mention their name, replied with, that looks slightly disturbing.
Oh.
I guess he felt like I was showing him like, look how terrible this thing is. I bought a couple of things for prizes for the tarp build as well. I've noticed the tarp build is growing. More and more people are doing tarps.
It is, yeah.
Did you see Pat McGrath put a picture of a tarp trailer?
I did, yeah. The one thing that has surprised me is because obviously at the beginning I did say that I would put regular posts up of inspiration, and I failed miserably. But other people have stepped up, and there does seem to be an awful lot of pictures of inspiration, and even to the point where an unrelated Facebook post just recently, which was about a model that was built that had a tarp on it already. There were lots of comments in relation to the fact it had a tarp on.
Oh.
To which the person that built it went, I don't know anything about
that. What are you talking about?
Yeah. But the community as a whole have embraced it and are talking about it and are making people aware of it. So thank you, everybody. While we're talking about community, I'd like to say a big thank you from me and Malcolm for making us in the top 50 on the chartables for the podcast. So I don't know who keeps repeating that same episode, or thanks, Mum. I don't know. But yeah, thank you very much, everyone, for your support. The community that has built itself around the podcast is wonderful.
Yeah, it's amazing. So yeah, top 50 in Great Britain under the hobbies category, which is awesome. You're listening to your top 50.
I may have mentioned in a couple of podcasts about a particular podcast which I would love to be in front of, and that would be the BBC Gardening World podcast. And I can confirm that we have achieved that.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone in the Czech Republic, for that. That has really made my week.
I think we're 15 Czech Republic currently in the hobbies section of the charts podcasts, and then Gardener's World was down in the 30s.
The 30s, yeah. So we weren't just above them; we trashed them. So pull your weeds up and get on with it, because you're obviously lacking.
Maybe they don't like gardening in the Czech Republic.
Maybe, yeah. Maybe they doesn't see the point of it.
Well, On the Bench and Sprue Cutters Union was still above us in the Czech Republic, but then we're all below My Guns podcast.
But yeah, so I just wanted to address that.
Cool.
So yeah, thank you for that.
The topic was reputations.
Ah, yes. Reputations. Now, this was devised through a long, arduous 2-minute conversation between me and Malcolm the other night. That's what we were going to talk about. And I just happened to mention reputations, and he said, yes, we'll do that. So, yeah, it's going to be fun. Anyway, so the idea of reputations. One of the reasons this come about was there was a conversation on a live show on YouTube not that long ago, which was a discussion about Tamiya. Were they still top, basically?
Yeah.
Were they the best manufacturers out there that they could possibly be?
Right.
And the general consensus from that live show, which had the likes of Moss on it and Nigel's Modelling Bench and Alex from Man's Models and some other guys. So forgive me, I haven't got the names written down, so I've forgotten already. But the general panel, Tamiya were the setters of the standard, if you like. However, it's becoming rather noticeable that other companies are on their heels rapidly. And it was just a thought process, really, of that. What do you think, actually, is of what you would think is the best manufacturer of model kits?
I guess new manufacturers coming along won't be able to hold a torch to the legacy that Tamiya has. Well, for the last 40, 50 years, they've been producing model kits that are flawless, mostly, and still are banging out those same model kits with no complaints. I very rarely hear people complaining they're missing a sprue out of a Tamiya kit, unless it's a second-hand one, or missing, a window or something. I very rarely hear that. Other manufacturers, I do hear that a lot, and they have their own spares department for that. But Tamiya, I don't. And also, they have an international base. So they're obviously massive in the Asian states, and then have conquered the US and the UK markets as well. Globally, they're enormous and produce fantastic stuff. Who was the chat about? Were they comparing them to other manufacturers, newer ones?
I think the implication of the question was twofold. Was that were Tamiya still the top? And the other side of it, which wasn't said per se, but I think the intimation was, do Tamiya rely on that reputation that they built over a long period of time far too much?
I see.
And do not put the effort in releasing lots of new kits that are just that little bit better, a little bit further along the process to push all the rest of the manufacturers to match them.
Right. Yeah.
And I feel personally, you can't knock Tamiya. You know, Tamiya are producing kits, old kits that are 30, 40 plus years old, and they're still selling them at a reasonable price.
And they're still good.
And they're still good.
They haven't got that, God, this is a nightmare kit charm that is a feature of some other manufacturers. They like to lean on that side of things. Like, do you remember having to fight this kit? Wasn't that fun? Tamiya doesn't seem to do that. They have their kits that they have been releasing for a very long time. There's no mention of it being a classic. There's no mention of it being a rebox. There's no mention of it being a redo. It's still the same boxing, still the same everything. So, yeah, I think unless a manufacturer comes along that has been going for as long as they have been in the different markets they have been internationally, then I don't think anyone can hold a torch to them. You could look at Bandai and look at their manufacturing of their plastic sprues using their 3 or even 4-way molding techniques they do, where they have moving hand parts for their robots, Gundams. Oh, I could call them robots. People would be upset. I mean, you know, the hands move essentially once you cut them off the sprue. Tamiya, I don't know if they do that. But does that mean that they're a better manufacturer? Probably not. It's just a different ilk. Probably Bandai spent a lot of money on those toolings, I imagine.
Bandai's a really good example because obviously they've got a niche, but some of their older kits, for example, their 1/48th kits that they did years and years ago, would surpass an awful lot of the 1/48 kits that are now being made.
Yeah,
even back then, but they don't make it anymore, which is a real shame. Because I think, if I'm honest, I think I've poo-pooed the 1/48 range quite a lot through the years, but I haven't.
Tamiya range.
No, just generally, 1/48. I didn't, I was very much a 1/35th person, and every other scale was the devil. But I have changed my mind on that. But certainly, getting a half track done by Bandai in 1/48, and it fits sublimely together, just like anything else they do, like their Star Wars kits and Gundams and all that sort of thing. I can't understand why they don't produce them. I'm baffled by that. The market's definitely there for it, and I wish they would bring it back. Even if they called it a classic, I don't care.
The instructions for on Bandai kits used to be quite questionable. The old ones, when they did do just tanks and aircraft and things, they were difficult constructions. So those could be updated, certainly. And then I guess no model kit is completely flawless, is it? No manufacturer is completely flawless.
I think at the end of the day, I think as model makers, we generally accept that there's going to be something that's not right in any kit.
We don't accept it at all.
We do. We open that box in an acceptance that something's going to go wrong, something's not right. We don't like it and we moan about it. But I think everybody realizes that most kits you open up, there's going to be something you're going to have to fettle with at some point. And it's really more of a case of not the fact that we don't accept we've got to fettle. I think it's the fact that we generally will buy a brand that we know we don't have to fettle too much. So it's the level of fettling rather than the fact that
gotcha. Yeah.
Shake and bake, I think the phrase is, isn't it?
Yeah. It's one of those things. It's the old story, isn't it? A tale as old as time. Do I want to buy a model kit that I have to fight and work out, or do I want to buy a model kit that just falls together? It's that older question. And there are manufacturers that will let you just build a kit without having to worry about sanding anything down. And there are manufacturers where you'll go through a few sanding sticks trying to put that thing together. Talking about the 747 that I'm building now. I can accept that because that it's an old kit and I can accept that that's going to have lots of issues. If they had brought that out recently and said it's brand new, then people would have been very upset.
I think with the manufacturers, certainly the bigger manufacturers, where they box something up and go, "Oh, it's new," and it's not. It's the box is new, but the actual physical stuff inside isn't. And they should. I really do feel they should be a little bit more transparent on that. But
well, it's a wording thing, isn't it? I guess they can't say it's brand new. They'll just say it's new parts or new decal set or something. But like Airfix, they do their classic range. They highlight the fact that it's not new. They're re-releasing it. They're redoing it. They've reboxed it, and it's classic. Whereas a true classic would be one from the 70s, still in its wrapper with a Woolworths bag, being labelled as £2. That would be a true classic one.
I think that's an acceptance from Airfix that they're using something that is old. The cost of potentially retooling it or starting from scratch isn't worth it. Let's face it, there are people that do enjoy putting those older kits together, even though they know full well there are issues and bits and pieces.
Well, look at the Bond Bug, and that came out, we re-released. They have to do some extra tooling on bits and pieces on it, but it was essentially the same thing that they had come out back in the day, and people were excited. People were buying the kit for 15 quid.
See, that's a really good example of the Bond Bug, because they did actually have to re-engineer some of the stuff because they'd lost part of the molding, but they didn't call it a new kit, although they could have, because it's new tooling.
Yes, but they wanted to rely and lean on that classic name, that classic brand, the old Airfix of the old days. They're leaning on that and relying on people remembering that strong brand that existed in the 70s when you were younger, when you didn't have kids and responsibilities and things were easier. You could leave your BMX outside on the front garden for 2 days and it wouldn't get nicked. Those days.
BMX, you were posh.
I had a boxer, rally boxer, and no BMX. I think BMXs were made in the UK and you had to import them. So everyone had rally. I had a rally boxer. Anyway, I digress. What were we talking about?
I had a chopper. It was the best bike I ever owned.
Stop it. What happened to it?
I don't know. In all honesty, I think it probably got scrapped at some point, or it was mistaken for a telephone mast. But I'm not sure, because it used. I had a thing about aerials, but anyway, that's a long story.
It's a different podcast, mate.
If I had space to put an aerial on my bike, it had an aerial. But anyway,
I had a little bit of paper with a peg, and I put it on the back, near the back wheel, so it hit the spokes, so it would go. Yeah. That sounded like a shit motorbike, but yeah. Re-releasing the Bob Bug was, again, a reliance on the old brand, the old school, and the memories that would all bring back. And I think that worked perfectly. But it wasn't for the people who are brand new to Airfix. It wasn't released for the people who are brand new to modeling. It wasn't released for the kids. It had a purpose why they released it. Yeah, and other brands don't seem to do that. They don't rely on that because they haven't got that legacy in the UK anyway, certainly.
But it's also good that, and there's the slight difference. There's a big difference in what I'm about to say, but the slight difference in the approach is what I mean between Tamiya and Airfix. Is Tamiya are still popping out the same stuff they were popping out in the 70s, and it's selling a reasonable amount. They're not overcharging it because they're just still popping them out, whereas Airfix is celebrating the fact that they're old kits. So it's just a different approach, but the same thing. Whereas Revell, of course, quite well known for popping things out and suggesting it's new when it's not, which new decals, I suppose, gives them that ability to say it's new. But
they also rely on the one-off purchases too. I'm sure I'm right in this, in that scale modeling as a hobby in the way that we celebrate it and we do it is in the minority. So purchases of Revell kits, I imagine, being one-off ad hoc gift purchases for people to put under the Christmas tree or as a birthday present, or one-off purchases from gentlemen in hobbycraft. I don't see them Revel being a scale model enthusiasts brand.
No.
I see them being look at the thing you could have on your shelf, and you can make it and have it on your shelf, and that's that. There's no celebration of the hobby so much inside a Revel kit, other than the celebration of the vehicle that it is.
Well, we always used to call a Revel kit a caravan kit.
Right, go on and explain.
So a caravan kit is something you pick up when you're on holiday because you're bored and your father wants to either kill you or give you something to do. So they pop down to the local shop and pick up a caravan kit, which is something you can build in the caravan stroke tent. I never had a caravan, never that rich. A tarp over a branch was pretty much my experience. But anyway, but yeah, I that's something in which would happen. I'm not singling out Revel because that would be unfair in my age. Matchbox was also one of those brands in which was in the local sweet shop. Airfix not so much, but certainly those two brands were the sort of thing in which you'd be given, and with the aim of, well, it'll keep them quiet for 5 minutes.
So we talk about reputation. Did you also talk about losing reputation as well? How easy it was to lose reputation, especially in the scale modeling world?
Well, this is one of the reasons why I wanted to discuss it, is because they didn't really talk about the loss of reputation. It was more about, the question was posed as a particular brand, was it the best, etc., and other brands were talked about while comparing them to them. Loss of reputation is an awful lot easier, obviously, as you all know, in anything that we do these days, especially with social media, that it only takes a moment unthinking or an action without thought, or a post without thought. Reputations can be damaged really quickly. And I think, go harping back to Revel, which is unfortunate, but they make a big thing of, oh, you've got this new item, and the item comes out and it's like, well, it's not new. And it still terribly doesn't fit properly together, and wheels are the wrong scale, or all that sort of thing. Unlike Edward, for example, who are renowned for their additional bits to kits and stuff. And just recently I noticed in the news, so to speak, was that the wheel set that they've done for the B26, I think it is, or A26. Anyway, one of the new builds, the tyre wheel's wrong.
Oh, wrong size.
Wrong size, yeah.
Okay. And how did they deal with that issue then? Did they cover it up, or did they announce
No, I think they've been really clever about it. I've got to be honest. They've embraced the fact there was a mistake. It is quite substantial in the size of the main wheels. And they've basically gone back to the drawing board, going to remake them and send out the correct size wheels. Okay. So anyone that's bought one of those sets will end up having a spare pair that are the wrong size, but they've addressed it and embraced it. Because we're all human at the end of the day. We all make mistakes. We all could look at an aircraft, and while we're designing it, etc., pick up things and go, oh, we'll put that into it, and then suddenly find out that actually that bit wasn't actually made of wood; it was made of metal or whatever.
Yeah. So I think they, yeah, exactly. I think they could, if they doubled down on that mistake and ignored it or said it wasn't a mistake or whatever, that would have been reputationally damaging. The fact that they've, I don't know anything about it, but the fact that they've, as you say, acknowledged it, embraced it, and tried to fix it the best they can, then that is reputationally boosting for them, because they're obviously a manufacturer that cares about what they're making, and they're on our side as a modeler. I can think of other brands that haven't done that there's been a mistake in a model kit and they've ignored it, or they've blamed the community or blamed the modelers for it. And that's, I don't want to mention them, but they're still in my head. I still know who they are. I still know their manufacturers, and that sticks. That sticks in my mind. And I don't think I've ever bought a kit from those particular manufacturers because of that. It's still in the back of my head. I'm probably not thinking about that particular incident in my head at the time that I was looking at a model kit, but
Yeah, it's not a go-to brand for you, is it?
Yeah, I guess not. And because of that, but Edward would be, because they obviously care, and I want to celebrate that and nurture that. So that's where my money would go. But
while we're talking about reputation, one thing that I picked up on from with the bits and pieces I've been following the last couple of days is, as a community, we do need to learn with manufacturers. If you spot a mistake, a polite email asking them and engaging in a conversation about the potential error, rather than just full on, oh, well, you cocked that up, la 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 la, and whack it on social media like a keyboard warrior. That's not helpful, and also it does close the door to any potential fix, because you're too busy slating them rather than having an engaging conversation with them, because they may actually have a bit of research to come back to you which you didn't know about to start with. Or they may, like, for example, when the designers were making a particular kit, they didn't put tread on the wheels in the kit, and the reason being is the one that when looked at, it's an easy mistake and quite easily rectified by a modeler. In fairness, if you are that sort of person that wants to make sure it's 100% correct and all that, a diamond tread on big wheels, it's a pain to do, but you can do it.
Yeah.
And it's better if it's in the kit already.
If you notice a thing, is it like, look how I'm so clever and I've noticed this mistake, and then you call them out on it. It's just people being people, forgetting that they're a part of a human race. And I know that if you're working and you get a crappy email, a shitty email from somebody, it goes to the bottom of the pile. Our scale modeling world, our little community that we have, is a fraction of the actual sales that these companies have. I'm not talking about Edard and that, because they're obviously celebrating the scale model enthusiasts, but people like Airfix and Revell, we are very small in terms of what's sold. But our voice obviously is much louder on social media than it would be Aunt Bessie, who's bought Bob model of a Corsair for his birthday. He's not going to build it and then go, oh, you know what, the wings didn't quite fit as easily as I thought they would be, so I'm going to write a shitty email to them, blow it up on social media and everything else.
Reputationally wise, Airfix, for example, I've had a reputation of banging the same old stuff out. Quite often hear that phrase. Other companies that do a similar approach on some of their products, or a lot of their products, don't get that criticism. Now, I would suggest that part of that reason is that there is and I'll use Airfix because I believe this is the case with Airfix. I think so many people have a very, very fond memory of Airfix and a relationship for a long period of time with that brand, that they so desperately want them to achieve a higher standard in their kits and be successful and be better than the reputation of other brands, Tamiya, etc. We can be a little bit unfair in that criticism. Do you think that's right?
I guess you just want every single penny to count, don't you, when you buy something? You want it to be the best, you want it to be excellent. So if you're spending money on something, you want it to be good, especially if you're spending your pocket money on something. And in those days when we were remembering, when we were spending our pocket money on model kits, remembering a reputation and a brand for what it was, is what the Airfix have lent on, isn't it? And they celebrate that too. So what about you then? What do you think about companies that have gained reputation? Have gone up in the echelons of James's charting?
Well, I think the more recent years, obviously, like most people of my age, I guess, my modeling journey has involved an awful lot more different brands than it used to be, by all means. ICM and the likes of ICM and Mini Art have got a little bit of a reputation of, it's always a short shot, or it doesn't quite fit properly, or the instructions are bad, but I got to be honest, in most cases with the kits that I've had from both of those companies, I've been very impressed with them. Would I say they're Tamiya as a comparison? no, not 100%. But I can certainly see the abilities that it requires, and I think they've hit it fairly well. And certainly subject matter wise, mini art, for example, are not relying on Spitfires and the old standard stuff. They're thinking outside the box, for want of a better phrase, and bringing to the market things in which I don't think I've seen from anyone else. Like tractors, for example, from the 40s and 50s. Who'd imagine someone would want to build them? But and I have fairly recently had a tractor on the bench, and it was brilliant fun. Only one slight issue with the kit itself, but that's partly my own fault. I can't blame the manufacturer, but an easy fix by all means. And I just feel that their reputation is building. Certainly over the last year or so, the world around them melting, and they're still managing to produce new kits, some of which are effectively reboxed or reimagined. So the mold's the same as another kit, but there's different decals, different options in it. And I think
they're not calling it new, though.
No,
are they?
they're not. No, I mean, you've got. I can think of a German van from the 1940s, which has had several different ways it could be made, into a beer van, into a milk van, to a grocery van. It's the same kit, but the decals are different and the box art's different, obviously. And there's a few extra bits put in it to make it a grocery instead of a beer van.
Right. Gotcha.
Which is clever, because it's the cost of the physical base mold is covered, and you're adding a little bit extras onto it to make it a little bit more appealing. But then obviously those extras can be then put into a box themselves and sold separately.
Is that something that Revell are not doing then? So when they are bringing out another thing, another rebox, another redo, or Airfix, when they've released their classic stuff, they're not doing extras. They're not doing extra bits to make it into a different vehicle. Or...
No, Airfix. I'll leave Airfix be, because when they're doing the classics, it is literally what it is. It is what you would have bought many moons ago.
Gotcha.
Revell though seem, and Revell are not alone, although I am picking on them a little bit. They just seem to me anyway to be popping out the same things and putting it in a new box.
It's the wording then, I guess, is it? It's the wording. If they say it's brand new, then people would get upset. If they're saying reimagined, as you used the word earlier on, people assuming it's brand new.
Well, see, the thing is with ICM, or mini art, sorry, as an example, they brought out this van, and they called it a beer van, and then they brought out the same base model with different decals and etc., and called it a dairy van or whatever. They've not implied that what I feel they're saying to you is, well, you can see it's the same sort of van, but it's just got different stuff on the side of it and a few extra bits.
Yeah,
and they're not saying it's new, but they're giving you the impression of a new product without actually saying it. But that I don't feel is deceptive, because you can see what it is. No one's silly. It'd be a little bit like having a Spitfire, one in camouflage and then relaunching it in bright red because it's a target plane.
Right. So there's different options.
Yeah, it's just an optional boxing, I think, would be a good phrase, actually. And I quite like that. I quite like that idea.
If you feel deceived, then you'll consider them to have a lower reputation. Yeah. When you were listening to this other chat about reputation with Moz, etc., did they come to any conclusions, or was it just a round table?
Well, the main conclusion which I heard from them, which was pretty much what we've said, is that Tamir's reputation has been built up over a long period of time, and they utilize that to their benefit. They have brought new things onto the market. They have done new toolings, etc. They're not that many, but then they've also reboxed their older molds and they've gone out on the market at a low price. So they're not gone, For a great example is the Pink Panther Land Rover. I don't think that's ever gone up in price that I'm aware of. Because every time I look at it, it's basically the same price as the last time I looked at it. It doesn't seem to go up at all. So it's great for the modeler because they're getting a good kit, something that's been around for a while, but they're not paying 40 quid for something that was sold at 20 quid. It's still at 20 quid. And I think that's value for money. And I think that's something in which sometimes we get lost on a little bit. It's all going up in price, but certainly the newer molds and stuff that are coming down the pipeline, the bracket is being pushed up and up and up. Look at some kits and that I've had a couple where I've looked at and gone, well, I'm not sure it's worth that extra 15 quid. And is that a reputational thing or is that just untight? I don't know.
Tighter than a gnat's chuff.
I am tight. Yes, I will say that I am. I've never been a modeler that says I want to build a Corsair, but I want it to be 100% authentic, and I don't go down that road with model making.
No, me neither.
I'm not that concerned whether the piston's in the wrong place.
No. Someone said to me, considering building the two-seater Harrier as a pink Harrier from a story about the Harrier was coming back from France and had been painted pink as a joke, and they couldn't clean it off before it went back to the UK. And it landed in the UK as a pink Harrier, and the squadron commander at the time said nobody's leaving this base until that's back to normal. And that story is, I think it's quite fun, and so I'm just going to paint the Harrier pink, but it's not quite the right type of Harrier. It's not exactly the right A or N, or it's not the right variant exactly. So do I care? No, I don't. Right. Because it's the story that matters, and it's a two-seater Harrier in my mind, and that's enough. I don't find it fun to make all the tiny, tiny details correct. I don't care if it's got the wrong armament on it. I don't care if it's got the wrong pitot tube in the wrong place. Don't care at all. I care about the story and the human side of things, the human element of it. Which is a lot of things that I build. That I'm building the space shuttle. I'm not building the space shuttle because it is the space shuttle. I'm building it because I saw it when I was 7. Okay, yes, I am making sure it's the right one. So it says Enterprise rather than Discovery on the side. But I don't really care if it's not got the right tiling system or whatever. As long as it's reasonably close and says the right thing on the side. That's about it, really.
The obvious. Making sure the obvious is boxes are ticked, so to speak.
Yeah, and that's what I get a kick out of, doing the fun stuff.
So another question I wanted to ask you was, while we're talking about reputations and stuff. So, out of the new manufacturers that are out there now, who do you think is doing a really good job with their reputation?
Let's have a look at my stash. Meng. I think I've got a lot of fun in them. There's a lot of enjoyment in their kit, especially with their Toon series of tanks they brought out and are continuing to add to their range. Kinetic are bringing out some really lovely things.
Well, why are you looking at your stash? That's interesting that you said that, actually, because your stash that you've got there, what percentage of your stash is bought on reputation rather than the actual subject?
Oh, that's a good question. I think we'd say 90% of it is on the actual subject. So there's a couple of things up there. I know that I bought like one on raffles and things. Like there's a couple of Rubicon kits up there because I like Rubicon stuff. It's a T54 and a T55. I have no interest in those tanks at all, but they're Rubicon kits, and that's why I've got them. The rest of it is all kits because I want the thing. It's the vehicle, it's the object, it's the thing that gets made, not the fact that it is a Tammy kit or it is an Airfix kit. It's because it's the vehicle. But yeah, that's interesting you say that. But yeah, certainly Rubicon, their build is awesome. Everything else is because of the thing it is rather than the model kit. What about you?
Well, I'm pretty much the same. I don't really care too much about the manufacturer. It's the subject that matters to me. There are a couple of kits which just so happen to be Rubicon as well.
Yeah.
that I've got that I'm not overly interested in, but I've got them specifically for the fact that that manufacturer is just awesome. And thinking about it,
Same with tune tanks. I've got a couple of tune tanks, and they're not interested in. I'm not interested in Shermans, but I've got a Sherman tune tank because I know the kit's great.
yeah, yeah. I think I'm probably 99% on subject, not on focused on the manufacturer. So, because I mean, I'm looking on my shelf right now, and I've got numerous different bits and pieces, but there's a particular one there that I'm thinking of, which I'm not going to be able to pronounce. Sayata, is it?
Soyata.
Sayata. Now, Sayata 148. It is a Panther with a crane mechanism, and I bought it because it's a diorama set and it looks cool. I'm not interested in the Panther at all in any way, shape, or form. It's just because I like the look of it. Don't know anything about them. Don't know whether they're any good or not, and I don't care because I'm sure I'll be able to manage whatever issues I come across on that. And the same with the Helldiver. Now, the Helldiver that I bought that I've been building for like forever was from Infinity. I heard lots of things about Infinity. Many of them was run the other way. And I actually did a review of the kit at the beginning, which was quite interesting because, oh, look at the detail on this. This is really good. I like this. Blah, 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 blah. What I didn't see at the time of that review, that the location of the part towards the sprue is very limited. So it's really easy to cut off a piece and break it or damage it in some form, which is a really crappy design of that sprue. Sorry, Infinity.
You know they're listening, right?
And the reason I didn't see that was because I was reviewing the subject matter, not the kit. It wasn't until I started making the kit that I suddenly went, oh, do you know, I didn't realize that. And I've done it several times with several reviews that I've done. So the manufacturer just does not matter to me. And yes, the kit has had some issues. The kit has had, for example, some instructional errors, quite fatal ones if you don't know them or notice them.
So does reputation matter then?
The only thing that would matter to me, reputational wise, is honesty. That's the only thing that would matter to me, is if someone boxed something, said it was this, and it turned out to be something completely not what they're telling me. So yes, partly, you know, a 1970s molding of let's say a Spitfire, for want of a better phrase, stuck in a box and said new this year, and then when I open it and find that it's got 1970 something stuck on it, I would be pretty annoyed. In fact, I would almost want to return it. I probably wouldn't, because I wouldn't want to do that to the retailer, but as a purchase from that manufacturer, I probably wouldn't go. I would avoid them, if I'm honest, because I would fear that would happen to me again. So honesty is really important to me, and the fact that they listen to the community, which is really hard when you're talking, as we've mentioned, they have to fight their way through all the non-niceties of communication that sometimes occur, is the politest way of putting it. But if they truly try and listen and try and be better next time, that's sort of important. It's more the subject, because as long as the plastic does what I want it to do, I couldn't care less. But I think a lot of people get hung up on that.
Yeah, maybe. Oh, interesting. Well, let us know in the comments below what you think is important for you in your model kits, whether the reputation of a brand is important to whether you buy them or not, or if the brand doesn't matter, it's the actual object. And I'd be interested to know what percentage of model kits in your stash there because of the model or there because of the manufacturer name on it.
Yeah, let us know. And while we're talking about feedback and all that sort of thing, can I please remind you all to give us 5 stars in the podcast, because that helps our ratings.
Yes.
And I have noticed on some of the areas in which these things are gathered, we haven't had some stars or comments for some time. So get out there, guys, give us some feedback and let other people see your feedback so they may listen to us in the future.
Do you know what, though? I was looking to do the same thing for another podcast, to give them feedback and 5 stars, etc., and I could not find how to do it. There was no click here to give your review, or what do you think about this podcast? Tell them here. There was not an obvious way around it or how to do it. So maybe I should investigate that and provide people with a link or something on how to do it, because everybody listens to their podcasts on different providers, right? And they all do it slightly differently. I listen to mine on Google Podcasts. I'm going to try and find some links at some point to try and find out how to just click in it, and then you can give a review. Speaking of clicking things and giving reviews, we're going to be doing a poll about Just Making Conversation. And we would like you to click on that and answer a few questions about the podcast. It's all anonymous, so you can call us anything you like, any names in the sun. We're not going to know who you are. Give us your feedback. Let us know what you think, what you want to change, all that kind of stuff. And then answer the questions, most importantly, about who your favorite co-host is.
Yeah. I'm not going to say anything about that. I need to do the Mooseroo build update.
Mooseroo Cup. Let's talk about the Mooseroo Cup. Boom!
If you want to get involved in the public group that there are 284 members now of the Mooseroo Cup Facebook page. It's run by somebody
on the bench.
Oh, it is, right? Okay. So what they did is they put a page up. Obviously, we know what the kit is now. Done that reveal. And if you want to join in the build, then please do so. If you want to build something that is of similar ilk, so Ural 4320 from ICMM in 1/72, go and join the page. And as I'm talking, I'm actually scanning through the page and see there are some progress.
What's the name of the group?
Mooseroo Cup.
Go join it.
MOOSEAROO Cup.
Cool. Go join it.
Yeah, go and join in. Chris Medins is one of the builders this year from the podcast. He is building away. He started his already from the Sprue Cutters Union. He's got a reference picture that he's going to try and remake.
Yep.
That's going to be quite interesting. Stuart Clark has shown the box. I don't think he's actually done modelling as such on it yet, nor have I.
Well, this is the Just Making Conversation podcast. So what is the Mooseroo Cup update for Just Making Conversation, James?
The box is still there on the bench, and I haven't actually decided what to do with it yet.
Why don't you go on the Facebook page, James, and put that down? Update them with the update.
I will update them with the update of the update, but soon to be updated with a new update.
God, I remember all last year there was no update for quite a while until the very end.
Yes, there will be an update very shortly.
Yeah, stay tuned. If you can hold your excitement. Cool. Thank you for updating us with no update. So also we have feedback and chat from people who sent us emails, etc. I've heard a couple of people telling us where they are listening to Just Making Conversation. One of them, very interestingly, which made me very, really, really happy to read, was from Kit Headley. He said he is just listening to Just Making Conversation in traffic. And he sent us a photograph of him sat in traffic in his car with, you can read Just Making Conversations on his sound system. And he says, I love your podcast and look forward to everyone. He sent the pictures of his actual Jeep. He says he's in east of Seattle, heading home from Redmond to Kent. On the I-405. He's enjoying the waning days of summer and dreading the day that I finally have to put the doors and the top back on the Jeep.
So let me pass you some tissue to wipe up those tears for you.
Where?
Yeah.
Poor thing. Yes. Well, thank you for letting us know. It's a very cool picture of the Jeep. It's awesome. So camo one side and camo the other. I've almost couldn't even see the Jeep that you were talking about. Kind of blended in. Thank you very much, Kit. Nice name, by the way, for a model maker. Who else? We had a message from Kenneth. He said, you asked where I listen to your podcast. Well, don't worry, I don't listen to it in the bath. We didn't literally sit in the bath. Someone said, why are you recording it in the bath? And I was like, oh man, no, it's the power of audio editing and magic.
Honestly, it's the water shortage. We are very, very environmentally friendly here on the podcast, and we do listen to what's going on in the world. When there's water shortage, then sharing a bath is the logical way.
We used CGI, audio CGI, to make it sound like we were in a bath. Honestly.
Oh, please tell me you haven't done a CGI video of us sitting in a bath. That would just be just wrong.
Just the audio, honestly. I don't know if they seriously thought we were sat in a bath, or they just didn't realize that magic could happen. I don't know. Anyway, so Ken said, normally I listen when I go for a walk with the dog.
Mm-hmm.
He said. He's got another question as well. If I want to build something for the Great Tart build, do I have to put a build online? And if so, where? And do I need to enter it into the Nationals at Telford? Okay, so yeah, Ken also asked about the Great Tart build. If you go on Facebook and search for the Great Tart build, just pop your pictures up on there. It's just a informal community group of people who are making tarps and showing their tarps and talking about tarps and how they make the tarps, where they've seen the tarps, clean ones, dirty ones, whether they're rolled up. Sounds like a song, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. Malcolm the Rapper.
Rap backwards with a capital T.
Although, if you do want to take it to Telford and you do want to enter it, by all means do. There is a table at Telford, which is not part of the competition that the tarp build will be on.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to bring it and relax your tarp with all the other tarps, you're more than welcome.
Yes.
The more tarps, the better. That's the way we see it.
Yeah, there'll be a tarp section. IPMS Farnborough are doing their tarps. So if you're a member of their group, you'll be able to put your tarps on their table, but there'll be a free tarp area you're welcome to put your tarps onto.
Yeah, absolutely.
So look out for that when you get to Telford. Just look out for information closer to the time.
And he also says there, I think you said both of you are going to Telford this year, but at different stands. Malcolm, did you like the Irish biscuits I gave you last year? I'll bring some more over for both of you this year. Give you a break from the hobnobs.
What? The Irish biscuits got destroyed by the rest of the group that I was with, and I don't remember even having one. We had a box of celebrations on the table. We had hobnobs on the table, and we had those biscuits. We also had honey cake, and I think I did get a slice of honey cake, but the rest of it just got destroyed. So I don't actually know if I like them or not. But please bring more.
We'll certainly use them and eat them. But yes, we will be on different tables, but we'll be very close to one another.
Yes, we will. I'm not sure where exactly we'll be yet, but yeah, we'll let you know. He also says, I'll bring some more over to both of you. This will give you a break from hobnobs. Don't do that, because I love hobnobs. But you could have a new section in the podcast called Modelling Biscuits, as opposed to Modelling Fluid, which another famous podcast talks about a lot. Mm-hmm.
It's a great idea. However, I'm not sure there's that many flavors of hobnobs, and it is the biscuit of choice. I'm not sure I could abuse myself by being unloyal.
Yeah. I was doing some modelling up at a fire station in Derby last week. We were talking about the hobnobs and how hobnobs is the modeller's choice, and someone else said,
"Oh, I quite like custard cream."
Custard cream?
What the hell? I was incredibly upset. Unbelievable. So yes, I'd like to know what your modelling biscuit of choice is. That'd be nice, as long as it is a hobnob.
It won't be a biscuit challenge.
That's something else. Don't look that up.
We tend not to have modelling fluids. We're hardly trusted when we're sober, let alone any other time. So
no. So thank you, Ken, for your message. I certainly look forward to tasting the Irish biscuits at the end of the year. And yeah, go and look up for the Great Tart build online.
There was another comment in relation to our last episode from Marcus. He said, yeah, floaty stuff. I listened to a number of channels, but you guys hold the gold.
Oh, thank you. Floaty stuff. A lot of people like that. Ships are very popular. It was cool. I guess there is no modelling podcast dedicated to shippage, is there? So
no.
Well, I know of anyway.
No, I don't think there is. If you are a shippage podcast, then let us know.
Did you say sheepish?
No, shippage.
Oh,
I was very careful with my pronunciation, you know. Yeah, it did seem to go down really well, that particular episode. So thanks for everyone tuning in.
Yeah, thanks, Paul, for spending the time with us.
Yeah, I think there's more to come from that anyway, isn't there? So in the future.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Neil Gilborn, big fan of the show, said your excellent podcast and your need for chocolate hobnob addiction. That's why he sent them.
Mm.
So he understands modelling biscuits. See, Neil's on the page.
David made a comment on the Facebook page as well, saying that maybe we should set up a rival to Buy Me a Coffee and call it Buy Me a Hobnob.
That's good. Oh no, I think we are looking at Patreon now, aren't we?
We are.
I'm trying to get my head around it.
Well, we're trying to figure a way of the best way to do it, aren't we? So the Buy Me a Coffee sat well with us, and the only reason we've left them is because of the way the payouts work on it.
Yeah, Patreon, perhaps, maybe stick with PayPal. Oh, I don't know. Wish we'd had the time to sort it all out properly, but we will let you know. So we've also got comments from Ron Milne. He says he listens to us at work. And the other message we had was from a chap called Liam. He says, hey guys, just wanted to say thank you for the podcast. It has made me start into this hobby. Found it a month ago and I have 9 episodes to catch up to this year's. So you won't hear this for a little while. I know Malcolm likes tractors, and well, he obviously hasn't listened to the one where I talk about tractors. I know Malcolm likes tractors and weathering, so here's a picture of one he can try, and he sent a very nice picture of a very rusty tractor. Thank you very much, Liam. As I said before, I don't like tractors so much as they're interesting. Honestly, you build one tractor, everyone thinks you like tractors. And the only reason I've got loads of tractors is because people buying me tractors thinking I like tractors. I don't not like tractors.
He does like tractors.
I do like tractors, but I'm not like Mr. Tractor.
I'm not Mr. Tractor. You just set yourself right up. That is so much a t-shirt right there. You sat on top of a tractor saying, I'm not Stig. Brilliant. Subject matter is a key driver for not just what we build, but also what we purchase for our daft hobby.
But it has to be said, value for money, good build experience, and the right subject matter will always be what drives us modelers to the keyboard to voice our opinions.
Next time, we'll just be making conversation about other subjects related to this daft hobby of ours. You've been listening to Just Making Conversation with
James Skiffins
and Malcolm Charles.
Follow us on Facebook, where we post photos, updates, and other nonsense.
Find us on Spotify, Amazon Music, iTunes, Google Podcasts, and all the others.
Let us know what you are just making and what your thoughts are on the conversations in this episode.
Thank you for the following supporters from paypal.me/podcastjmc.
Johan Frenson, Mike Beepstucker, Mike Shelley, Mark Harriet, Elliot Compredi, Adam, Kieran, Druster Lagoon, Craig Nichols, Elliot, Robert Lane, Dean, Ivana, Build a Model Kit, Callum from Michael Machine's podcast, Paint All the Minis, Peter, Brad, Warrington, Black Rifle, John, Julian, Chuck, Mark Bekawahi, Simon the Jersey Gent, Steve, Lee Costas, Mark Ray, Neil Twice, Mike, Robert, Andrew Chu, John, Mike, Jeff, Richard Lynn, Gordon, and 7 others.
In whichever way you show your support, leave your name so we can paint the roll of honour on the tail of the next episode. Goodbye.
Goodbye!
Oh.
Right, I will take that, some magic, and make it into a podcast.